Hi.
Hi.
Hi. What would you like to discuss today? Because I was thinking around when we've done some of the videos of what you've learned along the way. Because when you speak about therapy and often how far you've come and things like that, and how you see things differently, um, and knowing that not all therapy is the same as well, but also the fact of the change of when people come to therapy, um, they might feel that for the time that they come, somebody else is going to do the work for them. So somebody else is going to make them well, because ultimately we're programmed that somebody or something else is going to make us well, rather than us doing it ourselves. So the improvements that we have ultimately are down to you. I mean, I can't improve you. You know, you have to take things on and be able to do that yourself. So, from your experience of therapy, and how you've changed your mind, so to speak, about labels and professionals and what we're taught and things like that, what's your stance on that?
Well, when I first came into therapy, I thought it was going to be a repeat of my other interactions that I'd had with support services um, or the medical profession. And that was very much, they know better than me, and I listen to them, and they're going to do something that will help me, or tell me how to do something that will help me. And that's the mindset that I had right from the beginning of interaction with support services, when I was first referred when I was 20, and never question, never think about or wonder what I was being told to do, whether it was right or not. It was just, I'd grown up in an environment, and I think in society as well, that the medical profession are to be looked up to be put on a pedestal. I can remember being little, and my mum will still do it now. She's going to the doctors, or the doctors come, tidy up, or put your decent clothes on. You go into doctors and that kind of thing. That there was somebody to look up to who had all the answers. And when I entered the having treatment with the medical profession, I went with that mindset that they know best. I was never had to be sectioned or anything like that. When I've been put in hospital and stuff, it was a matter of go home, pack a bag, and be in St James's within 2 hours. And I'm like, right, okay then, all right. I just did as I was told. I never questioned it. And I think,
Can you see how I just wanted to capture that for a little bit? How you said I was never sectioned, as if you were so compliant is a good thing, and if you need to be sectioned, it's a bad thing.
mm,
Do you see what I mean? So, um, is it just, in a way, it gives me the image of, when somebody's restraining you because you're reacting normally to an abnormal situation, but it's still quite abnormal that somebody would want to restrain you because you're ill. They'd want to shut you up because you're ill.
I took on that role of wanting to be a good patient, somebody who did as I was told, who was not seen as challenging or awkward or
So you will be having all these names that if you're not compliant. And so can you see where, when you look at that, in a world that's the reason why you go to school? Because if you're compliant, you're good. And if you're not compliant, you're not good. And so you can't have your own free will because it's not deemed as good. Do you find it just a break off question, really. Do you find it odd that we love watching nature films? We love watching David Attenborough tell us all about what animals do in their natural habitat, and we called it wildlife instead of it just being normal life. And yet, for us, there's no David Attenborough, so to speak, to we're told what to do and what we are and what we should be and what we should say, and that we should be compliant. So the only difference I see there in wildlife is free life, to be who you're here to be. And for us, there's none of that. It's a slavery that, to be compliant. So you're learning to be a worker and to be compliant. And so that's what you learn.
Yeah.
And to be a good person. Who were you doing it for?
I felt I was doing it, I don't know. I felt as if I was doing it because I wanted to be a good person. I deeply felt very much that I wasn't. And so I felt that I had to make up and make extra effort to be a good person because I really wasn't underneath.
What
and I
was
didn't.
You underneath?
I was bad.
Why?
Because that's what I was told. So that's what I believed, and
so
that's what I
just
took
because
on
you're
board.
told things, when you look at it now, does it mean it's true?
No.
But when you're a child,
Yeah.
you're quite susceptible. You're innocent. Your mind's open to be taking information in, and so if we call our children names, they'll go into believe them.
Yeah.
And then they'll become that, and then they'll spend their lives trying not to be that.
Yeah.
But when you try, it's like trying not to think of a pink elephant. So you'll end up being like in this trap, in this prison, for the rest of your life.
And that's how it felt, but I didn't see it as like a trap or a prison. I thought I was doing everything right by being compliant. I felt that part of being compliant as well means that, for me, means that you're safe from harm.
I guess as well, it's deemed as a good thing to be compliant. And then the other thing, is it a good thing for you? Was it ever a good thing for you? The other thing is that, because people believe in realism, this is real, this is the real. It's like, is it? Does it look real to you? When you look at nature and look at what we do, which would you prefer?
Nature, because I've learned, and that's been one of the big learning things through therapy, is about that I've learned is about to think about things and wonder rather than just know things and follow things.
Yeah, because one is to have a thought for yourself.
Yeah.
Rather than somebody else's thought that's been, well, it's just like this is how it should be. Like we just follow, don't we? We follow everything. I'm going to say like sheep, but I don't want to insult the sheep. But we do, don't we? We just follow. This is fashion. This is what you should wear this year. This is that. This is this. This is that. This is this. Somebody puts it out there, and then we go along with it. And it's like we're constantly led in from one direction to, I believe that now, I don't believe that. Now it's different now. And then we call this the real world. It's like, but it keeps changing, so how can it be real? But in nature, it stays, majority of it stays the same. That if you go back and you watch animals, they're still doing the same thing. They know exactly what food to eat. They know all of these things. And yet we're told. So when you were told that from a young age that these are the people that you should look up to, and you believe that, so do you still believe the same thing, or has your real world changed?
My real world's definitely changed, and I do believe that's from the work that we've done in therapy, or I want to say that you've done.
Well, you can't, because you're here to do the work.
Yeah, and I think not only have I, it's like I can see the progression of really starting to value myself as or because like you said, I'd follow everything anybody would tell me and not even question it or not even think about it. But what therapy has given me is about listening to myself and respecting myself. So I might have progressed to a point where, yeah, I'm still doing that, but inside I'm like questioning it, but I won't voice it to anybody. And like now, I've come to a stage where last time I went to see my GP, I was like, well, this is what I think, this, and she was saying this is what she thinks. And it was more of a two-way conversation rather than me just going and going, right, what do I do? What do I do? And say it, or going and saying it and coming out and thinking, well, that was a load of rubbish, but I'm not going to tell her. I was able to voice and share my opinion and my thoughts and respect that part of me, which I've not done before, because I've always thought that other people knew better than I did and put them on a pedestal.
I guess as well that when you we're in this prison that we of our minds, that we're compliant. So when we're taught this person with this costume on this and that person with that costume's on that, it's just a person, not just, do you see what I mean, with a costume on. But we made the label bigger than the person, because when somebody says, "Oh, it's somebody from high up," it's like, well, are you speaking to God or Jesus? Because there's no one else that's higher than that. No one, nothing, no one, we're nothing. Do you see what I mean? So it's that a label can't be, it's made up. And so, but when you go to school and you learn that this is an important job and this is an important job and this is a job high up and you'll be highly respected, and you might not feel good enough within yourself, and you go to train to be a professional, you might only then start to feel good enough in yourself. Then you're not going to want to give that up for toffee. And so it's a lot of training. But what if people taught you wrong? What if they just taught you, sorry Dan, what if they just taught you about the physical body, the physical world? The physical world is second hand. So therefore, if whatever we have in the physical world has been created in the physical, in the mental world, and you see it in the physical world, then whatever we do physically will not put right anything, because you have to go back to the place where it was created to be able to change that creation. Does that make sense? So how can anything logically, for me anyway, if everything comes from consciousness, and it does, then, like this room, is there anything that you can see in this room that wasn't created by consciousness? There has to be a consciousness involved. So then how can you put it right? Only consciousness can. So if you're going to do something in the physical world, say like this plant, well, what would you do with its leaf? Its leaf's gone a bit brown. What would you do then? Well, you just pull it off to make it look all right, but it's not. That's what happens to us. Or you just shove something in to make it look like. Do you see what I mean? And it's like we're just interfering with something. Unless we can make a toenail, we have no right to do that. But we're trained to believe that this is the way that you help people, because we're not trained in any other way. So we don't. It doesn't matter what label you've got. You still might not look outside the box that you've been given to help another person, because quite often, is there another way? Yes, there is. Well, there has to be another way, that might work if were not allowed to read the certain books, if the books were banned, you know, if they were gotten rid of, and all of those kind of things. It's like, what's in these books then? What is it? Why don't we see the full picture?
Mm.
Why are we just talking about the physical world and believe in realism? What if that's not true? So it's absolutely right. It's the wondering, the what if. How do other people do it? How come they don't have that? How come they don't have that over there? What does that mean then? Do you see what I mean? How come that everything that's being created is deemed as bad? Like when you have hay fever, it's like I've got hay fever. What's it got to do with hair? Why is it called hay fever? It seems to be that everything that's natural and good is not. It's bad. Could it be the casein, the dye that they put in milk, that actually can cause hay fever?
Mm.
Could it be? Well, from what I found out, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so for me personally, I had hay fever for over 20 years, and there was no cure, as far as I knew anyway, as far as I was told. And yet I stopped having dairy products and don't have hay fever anymore.
Mm.
So just by wondering.
Yeah.
It wasn't my wondering, it was an after effect of something. So for you, is that how you're seeing things now? Seeing
Yeah.
that
Therapy gave me if I have to say, gave me the gift of wondering. I'd never wondered up until then, and it took me a long time to actually understand what that meant. And
but I think the biggest gift that you had was that you decided to wonder, and that's when you do the work. I can offer, you can offer somebody something, but the work is when they apply it. And that's what the biggest thing is for you. It's not what I suggest. It's the biggest thing is whether you give it, apply it and say, let me experiment with that for myself.
Yeah. And that's I think one of the big learning points from therapy is the wondering and acknowledgement that I'm a person and everybody else is. We're all human beings. And that were quite devastating to I resisted that because I didn't want to see other people as human beings.
Right.
I still wanted to see people in the little boxes of like, I want to come to therapy and I want you to tell me what to do. And because that, even though it hadn't worked, that's what I knew, and that was my familiar, and that was my familiar pattern of what I thought was help and that kind of thing.
Right.
And I didn't want to
see. Did any of the things that you were told or what you did work?
No.
Why?
I don't know. I used to think things and manipulate situations to go into my thinking. And if things didn't work out, I didn't look at the other people and blame them, like with the health professionals, or I didn't say, oh, they've not done right, or I'd question myself that I'm not doing it right, I'm not listening to what they're saying, or if I'm not following what they're saying, there must be something defective with me because I'm not better in this time that they've said I should have so many sessions and be better now. I should have been refed and got to a healthy weight, and the eating disorder should have gone. There's obviously something wrong with me because I still have the same thoughts and feelings even though I'm a healthy weight. So I questioned myself rather than questioning other people.
Is that when it comes back to what you were saying earlier when you said that being compliant and that you have to be compliant and you have to be a good person, and when you've said on other videos that when you were a problem or you were this, or it was down to you, so everything goes back to blaming you, blaming nature,
and
rather than instead of saying the chemicals, it's nature that's the problem. So you can rub chemicals all over your body. You can shower in water that's got chemicals in it. You can eat chemicals. You can destroy yourself in that way. But it's nature's fault. It's not the chemical. That's never seems to be a mention, does it? And so your nature itself, you're a being, and the plants are being, and everything's a being around us. And yet it just seems that everything that is natural is defective. And it's that defective, it only needs chemicals to put it right, or chopping out, or adding to, or something like that. Does that make sense to you?
Totally. It does, and it also, what also made a difference and a change to me is understanding that professionals or people with a title or with a job role, they are only people like I'm a person as well.
Yes.
And I'm capable of making mistakes, and I have my backstory and my story with holes in to try and make sense. They're going to be having that as well.
Yeah,
and that is a key that is a whole new world to me, because I didn't see people as having that backstory or that voice in their head that comes from criticism they've experienced, their experience. I just saw them as godlike individuals. I didn't realise that they were human as well.
So and with emotions, thoughts, and feelings, and trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
But they might have not been taught the right thing.
Can I read something I've written?
Yeah.
Can. Where's my phone? Oh, I've lost it now. That's a good start, isn't it? Thought I knew where it was quickly.
What's the rush?
Yeah. I think I don't want to be a problem. I don't want to cause a fuss.
Uto. You.
Yeah.
Okay.
The longest relationship we have in our life is with the NHS. The relationship commences before we are even born and continues after our death. It's like no other relationship we experience, yet we barely acknowledge it, and nor do they. I grew up and lived in an environment like many others that saw doctors and those that worked within their medical and health profession as heroes, experts, specialists to be listened to, professionals to be trusted and respected. We gave them authority and power we were told they deserve, ones to be applauded and looked up to, ones with the answers and ones who knew what was best for us. So when I felt totally at loss about what to do, when I couldn't see a way forward out of the dark hole I was living in, like many others, I turned to those who I had been told I could rely on, the NHS. I poured my hope into professionals I saw. Like a sponge, I absorbed what they said, and like a sheep, I followed their guidance to the letter and without question or hesitation. What took me a long time to learn, and through working with yourself, was the blind trust I had placed in professionals was misplaced, misguided, and foolish. No one had told me that they were human beings capable of making mistakes, bias, and limitations. No one told me they might get things wrong or not know the answer. No one told me they were human beings just doing the best with what knowledge they had been told, learnt, and experienced. No one told me they were just human beings with their own reasons for doing what they did, with their own way of working in a system that always didn't see them as human beings. It was a big learning curve to see that they were just human beings doing what they thought was best.
Mm.
And that's the difference in how I see other people, all people, not just referring to health professionals, to how I see people now. I always thought that I was faulty, different, odd, and everybody else had it sussed.
So can you see that all humans are human beings?
Yeah.
We just don't often behave like that. We behave like beasts.
Yeah.
but not because, you know, we were born that way. We were taught that. We were taught to be evil. But we just don't want to look at ourselves in that way as you know, that we can be nasty, murderers, abusers, all of those kind of things. But we just, that's why you say, I want to be a good person. Many people, you know, when they're manipulated in the Bible, and as I always say, I don't believe it's a religious, got nothing to do with religion, it's talking about human beings. One of the statements that Jesus says about giving to charities is that you're a hypocrite. And that's what they are. They're people who make money off of somebody else's suffering. And quite often in that sandwich, there can be where the volunteer is already ill, that goes and works for free to give people money, will give a cut of that, they'll take the biggest chunk out of it. And because we want to be good girls and boys, I don't know if begging is illegal, I'm not sure if it is. But yet, every time I go to a till or something, I'm asked if I want to give. And it's like, no, because, you know, when we want to be good girls and boys and you're asked in a queue, it's a form of manipulation. So you'll be good. And you'll have a feel, so you may have a feeling of guilt if you don't give. But I see it the other way. I'd rather give direct to the person without having to shout about it.
Yeah.
Because the hypocrite is where it has to be aggrandized. So you're not really giving without receiving something back for yourself, and that's not true. Do you see what I mean? So it's that where you majority of us, like you said, who want to be good, we're born that way. We don't act that way. So we have to flag it up for ourselves. Look at me, I'm being good.
Yeah.
We have to aggrandize and get an audience to validate that we're being good. Therefore, there's something in our subconscious that knows we're not. There's something about us that knows we're not if we have to keep proving
and trying to prove it and show everybody. And maybe that's, you know, where some people like titles and stuff, because it's a way to validate them. Look, I've got a certificate, I've got a label, or I've got this, and
to say that I'm a good person.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's about them. And I think from my experiences with what therapy doesn't, I'm not saying therapy is like, oh, it blamed and showed me that the NHS is rubbish or anything like that, but it's made me wonder about some of the experiences that I've had with professionals. Some of them have been really positive, constructive experiences that have been really helpful, but equally, finally admitting that some of the experiences were not nice and were quite harmful and abusive, and I didn't like facing that fact. I didn't like facing that I was in such a bad place or felt so low about myself that I let people treat me like that, and I did things on and went along with treatments or programs or medication that I didn't want to, but I thought that they knew better than me.
I think as well, it's where you we use things so somebody can hide behind it. So if you say, like, wherever you go, they'll say sign a form, sign this, but you equally have the right to say, okay, if you're going to give me that, sign that, and if anything happens to me, you're going to be held accountable. Then it's kind of a little bit suspicious if they say no, I won't sign it, because then the NHS is just a building, it's just a name. So you can't really, you're naming it as the NHS, and it's not about damning people or damning the fact that for the NHS. It's about human beings. So that's what that was about. The teaching is not saying, oh, they did bad and over here's good or whatever. It's about your experience on this planet with other human beings that often hide behind the uniform, the made up costume, or hide behind the made up label. But ultimately, when you see another person as a human being, it makes everything equal then. That everybody's equal. There are no higher ups. Or as human beings,
that's what therapy did for me.
Yeah, there's when you're speaking about a higher up, I think people must be speaking to Jesus or the Creator right now, because there are no higher ups. I am not higher than you. I just have a label that says this is the job I do. But I'm not higher than you, and nobody is higher than anybody else other than a made up story. And when you have a made up story about something, you have to wondering why. Is this safe for me? Is this dangerous? Is this, what is this? Because things that when we're told things are safe, we shouldn't have to be told it. When we're told things are healthy, we shouldn't have to be told it. No animal has to be told that. Everybody knows what's good for them. They know what grows in the ground. They know what grows on trees. We all know. But, we want to be told something because we want to remain children. We don't want to wonder.
And I think one of the things that I see, it's a slight tangent, but not, one of the things that I see, and I talked about it with somebody this morning, something that we hide behind, which I see being hid behind a lot at the moment, is the use of the system. Blame the system. It's the system that's broken. The system's not fit for purpose. The system. But what has helped me is understanding systems are created by people.
Yes.
Systems are implemented by people. Systems keep going on by people and include people with
narcissism, doesn't it? That
you
just blame somebody else.
Yeah.
That I'm perfect, but it's somebody else's fault. And that's why, I always come back to what Freud said, that we're children running around in adults' bodies and not just taking responsibility, where, we can hide behind a label, we can hide behind a building, the name of a building, or we can hide behind a system. So we don't take accountability for the harm that we do for our ego.
And I think finishing, that's something that therapy's taught me, is I'm learning to take accountability for myself.
Yeah, and really.
I'm learning, I'm an adult and I am accountable for myself.
Yes, and this is your temple. This is our temple that we've been given. And it's just asking yourself, what am I doing to it? What am I, on a daily basis, am I eating physical, psychological, and emotional junk food that riles up my nervous system? Is that what I'm doing on a daily basis? Isn't that what we're all doing? Isn't that what we've been taught to do? To rile ourselves up on a daily basis and then go and ask somebody else, how do I calm this down? Because you taught me how to rile myself up. And you'll see that if we knew how to calm it down and we didn't rile ourselves up, how many people do you think we would put out of business?
Yeah.
So that's the wondering. Who benefits, as I always ask? If you're not benefiting, who benefits? How do you feel after that?
Okay.
Shall we end there?
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.